$300 million. Heavyweight champion of the world. 20 years old. Untouchable. 2 Bengal tigers. He paid a man 6 figures just to walk them. Then a courtroom opened his books. Tens of millions in debt. The IRS first in line. Mike Tyson. Say the sentence forming in your head. If I had that money, I would never be broke. You are wrong. You would go broke even faster. Look at what he bought. Tigers eat. Mansions eat. The staff ate. Every possession had a mouth, and every mouth was hungry. He was never rich. He was the highest paid prisoner in the paycheck trap. You have the same disease, just on a smaller battlefield. Your car eats, your mortgage eats, your subscriptions eat, your credit card eats, your lifestyle eats. Every month, without mercy. And you wonder why you cannot escape the rat race. You are not broke because you earn too little. You are broke because everything you own owns you. Nothing in your life fights for your freedom. Nothing sends you money while you sleep. Everything sends you a bill. Machiavelli did not write for the obedient. He wrote for men who intended to take something. He never asked who deserved money and power. He studied who ended up holding it. That question is unfashionable now. It is also the only one that pays. By the end of this, you will know precisely why money refuses to accumulate in your hands. And you will hold 6 moves. Every one of them is executable by a man trapped in the 9-to-5 sentence, earning a low wage with no savings and no connections worth naming. But be warned, once you see the naked truth, the job becomes unbearable. Not harder, unbearable. The paycheck stops feeling like a reward and starts feeling like a receipt for something you sold. We are going to kill the employee inside you. He is not you. He was installed. Installed by people who have never built an empire. And after you count the bars, you can never again call the cage a career. First, look at the damage. Look at your own life with cold eyes. Your checking account dies in 11 days. Your card sits at 19% with a balance you have stopped opening. Your car exists to drive you to the job that pays for your car. That is the debt cycle. Not a crisis. A subscription you pay for life. Then the subscriptions you forgot you bought. $12, $9, $15. The slow bleed. Small cuts, monthly, forever, and never a wound large enough to make you act. $400 stands between you and disaster. Economists at the Federal Reserve measure this every year. Roughly 1 in 3 American adults cannot cover a $400 emergency in cash. 1 in 3. Not in a failed state. In the richest country in human history. That is not a personal failure. That is a harvest. Society is a farm, and you were bred to stay calm on it. Now the brutal truth about your paycheck. It is not payment for your work. It is the price of your obedience. Somebody calculated the smallest number that stops you from walking out. That number is on your deposit slip. Not your value, your replacement cost. How much of your last raise is still in your possession? Be honest. It was eaten before you finished celebrating it. You sell hours and buy objects. The owner sells nothing and buys assets. One of you gets tired. One of you gets rich. You already know which one you are. And they call the alternative responsible. Work 40 years. Wait for 65. Collect your reward after your knees are gone and your best years are already spent. They hand you the golden years fiction and you thank them for it. Retirement fiction sold to cattle too exhausted to spend it. The get-rich-slow trap has a body count and nobody investigates it. You do not want more money. You want to stop asking permission. Move 1. Sell the result, not the hour. Every poor man sells time. Every rich man sells outcomes. You have been selling time since your first paycheck. A raise does not fix this. A raise is the same salary cage with softer bars and a longer leash. Watch 2 mechanics in your own town. One charges $90 an hour. The other charges $400 to make the noise stop. Same hands, same skill. One sells his life in slices. The other sells a result. When the second man gets faster, he earns more. When the first man gets faster, he earns less. Sit with that. Under an hourly wage, your competence is punished. Your skill grows, your speed grows, your pay stays flat. If you freelance, you already know the humiliation. $25 an hour to build the thing that makes a business $90,000. You build 6 hours. You felt proud of the invoice. Machiavelli would call that strategic suicide performed in the costume of humility. Here is the move. You can run it immediately. Stop quoting hours. Price the outcome. Not 12 hours of design work. A checkout page that stops leaking sales, $1,500. Not I will handle your books. You will know your real margin every month, $600 a month. Then raise the number until it burns your throat to say out loud. That flinch is the point. The flinch is not evidence you are overcharging. It is evidence you just stepped out of the obedient crowd, where prices are set by permission instead of nerve. Some clients will walk. Good. Let them walk. Men who buy hours want a servant. Men who buy outcomes want a weapon. Which one are you selling yourself as? First, bar cut. But your price means nothing while your money still evaporates the second it lands. And in your account, it does. Move 2. Starve the comfort tax. You do not have a money problem. You have a leak. Open your statement. Read the last 60 days out loud. Every line, no skipping, you will find it. $200 a month funding nothing at all. Delivery fees, dead subscriptions. The upgrade you bought to feel like a man who was going somewhere. That is the comfort tax. Nobody collects it at gunpoint. You volunteer. You buy 10 minutes of feeling wealthy and pay for it with the decade in which you could have become wealthy. Psychologists call the mechanism hedonic adaptation. Machiavelli would call it a man bribing himself to stay in his own cell. Cancel it, all of it. Now, and here is where you break from the herd. Do not save it. Savings is a defensive posture, and you have nothing to defend. You are behind. A man who is behind does not build walls. He raises an army. That 200 is your ammunition, tools, software, an engine that outlives your leak. Broke clowns spend to look rich. Builders spend on things that print. Same dollar, opposite direction. One buys you applause from people who will not attend your funeral. One buys you freedom. Look at your last 3 purchases. Which side were you on? Machiavelli warned that a prince living on borrowed splendor already belongs to whoever funds the show. You are financing the siege against your own castle. Burning money to look like a king while you sleep in a rented room. Ammunition is worthless aimed at the wrong wall. Most men aim at the wrong wall for 40 years and call it a career. You have been aiming at yours since you were 22. Move 3. Stand where the money moves. Every company has 2 halves. One spends money, one brings it in. Which half are you standing in? Payroll, support, warehouse, back office, entry-level admin, cost centers. Necessary, thanked, and permanently squeezed. Because every dollar that lands on you is a dollar. The business is engineered to reduce. Sales, acquisition, offers, pricing, retention. Those touch cash. In that seat, a man who drags in 100,000 can demand 20. No ceiling, because there is no wage. There is a percentage. This has nothing to do with your charisma. It is proximity. Stand near the money and your income stops being a favor and becomes arithmetic. Mark Rich. Not a moral example, a structural one. He built one of the most powerful commodity trading operations on earth by placing himself exactly where oil had to pass and making himself unavoidable. He did not outwork the market. He installed a toll booth on the only road. You run the small version, you always can. Take a skill you already have and point it at revenue. A man loading trucks for 18 an hour learns to book roofing jobs and collects 150 per appointment. 10 a week. Run that number, then look at your timesheet and tell me who is being cheated. Or sell the outcome from the last move straight to businesses that are bleeding. Dentists losing calls after hours. Contractors losing quotes inside a text thread. Nobody there cares about your resume. They want the wound closed. Have you noticed the pattern? The men loudest about being underpaid always stand furthest from the cash. They are not being robbed, they are being ignored because ignoring them is profitable. And they chose that spot. You chose yours too, and you defend it every morning. Position beats effort, every time. Your effort without position is sweat with a wage attached to it. Position pays you more. It does not free you. A commission is a leash with better manners. Now we build the thing that earns while you are not in the room. Move 4. Build the system once. This move decides your life. Everything before it was preparation. Money paid for labor stops when you stop. Money produced by a system does not ask where you are. Your objective is one thing that gets sold more than once. 1. Not a portfolio. 1. A template pack. A small tool. A course on the single skill you actually own. A newsletter with a paid tier. A service delivered by automation instead of by your hands. A media asset that owns attention and rents it out. For most of history, that door was bolted shut for men like you. Software meant a team, a year, and capital you would never touch. Publishing meant a gatekeeper who despised you. Distribution meant a warehouse. That wall fell. Recently. Quietly. One man with AI tools now ships in days what a funded company needed a quarter to build. That man can be you, and nobody has to approve you first. You can write the code you cannot write. You can produce the voice, the video, the copy, the design. You can build the system that answers your customers at 3 in the morning while you sleep like a king. This is a glitch in the matrix. Glitches close. Every technological gap in history closed. The men who moved inside the gap built empires. The men who waited for the tools to become obvious became customers of the men who moved. Every time. No exceptions. You are standing inside a gap right now. You get to pick which of those 2 men you become. Here is a system you can build with no savings. Pick one boring trade in your own city. Plumbers, dentists, med spas, HVAC. Find the thing bleeding money, missed calls, dead follow-ups, no-shows. Build the automation that catches it. 500 to install, 200 a month to run, 40 clients, 8,000 a month. The work is front-loaded, the money is not. Boring? Good. Boring is where the money hides while broke clowns chase whatever looks impressive on camera. Machiavelli advised the prince to raise his fortifications in peacetime, because a wall built during the siege is already rubble. Your system is that wall. You build it on tired nights while nothing is burning, so that the day you walk out of the salary cage, you are not walking into open ground with no army. And here is where nearly every man fails, and you will feel the pull. Build one. Make it work. Then build the second. You will want to launch 6 things at once because starting feels like progress and finishing feels like exposure. Your ambition is not your problem. Your finishing is. Monk mode. One system. Finish it. There is a hole in this move and it buries profitable men alive. You can own a perfect system and still own nothing at all. Move 5. Own the road, not the cargo. Rockefeller saw what his rivals never did. The oil was not the prize. Everyone else fought over wells like dogs over scraps. He took refining, then made the railroads dependent on his volume and squeezed rates no competitor could touch. He never needed to win the fight over cargo. He owned the road it traveled on. Every barrel his enemies shipped made him stronger. Now look at your own operation with that same cold eye. Where do your buyers come from? If the answer is one platform, one agency, one marketplace, one client, or one algorithm you do not control, you do not own a business. You are a tenant, and your landlord can raise the rent to 100% without warning you first. I have watched men build 6-figure operations on a single traffic source and vanish inside 30 days when it shifted. They did nothing stupid. They built a castle on rented land. The move is ownership of the connection to the buyer. An email list you can export. Phone numbers you hold in your own hands. Buyers who know your name, not just your product. People who follow you if every platform on earth deletes you overnight. Collect them from your first sale. Every customer, every lead, every curious stranger. Own your pipe. Answer this honestly. If your main platform banned you today, do you have a business or do you have a story about one? Right now you have cargo. You own no road. That makes you a chess piece on another man's board, and pieces do not get to complain about how the game is played. Distribution is the modern land. And in almost every small niche you can name, it is still unclaimed. Own the road and cash walks in. But your cash flow is not your wealth. This is exactly where most men stop, congratulate themselves, and stay servants with better furniture. You will be tempted to stop there too. Move 6. Turn paper into ownership. Cash is a temperature, not a position. Remember the champion. 300 million moved through his hands and left nothing behind, because income is water and he built no container. The small version of that man is in your city right now, pulling 20,000 a month, 60 days from insolvency. He is not rich. He is a well-paid employee of his own business. Wealth is ownership of things that produce without you. The Federal Reserve tracks who actually holds this country. The top 10% of households hold roughly 2/3 of all wealth. The bottom half holds about 3%. Hear that gap again. It is not explained by hours worked. Nobody in the bottom half works 1/20th as hard as the top. It is explained entirely by what they hold. You hold nothing. You hold a receipt for hours you already spent. Here is the move, and it is mechanical. Every month, before your rent, before your food, before anything else, a fixed percentage of everything you earn gets converted into ownership. Equity. Index funds. A stake in something real. 20% if you can, 10 if you cannot, 5 if you are drowning. The number matters less than the rule. Your rule has to be unbreakable. Then you do not touch it. Not for a car, not for a wedding, not for a dip you are certain about. 500 a month, compounding at 8%, becomes roughly 750,000 over 30 years. That is your money doing work you never did. You will feel nothing for the first 4. That is precisely why almost nobody finishes. Compounding rewards the patient and robs the impulsive. and it does not care which one you intended to be. Charlie Munger sat on positions for decades while louder men traded constantly and lost to him. His edge was not genius in every trade. His edge was the ability to sit still while sitting still looked like weakness. Can you sit still? Most men cannot, and you have not proven you can. Sitting still pays you no applause, no dopamine, no audience. It only pays you money. 6 moves. Price the outcome. Kill the leak. Stand near the cash. Build the system. Own the road. Convert paper into ownership. None of that is secret knowledge. All of it is available to you on $40,000 a year. Which leaves one question. If it is this simple, why are you sitting in the same life you had 3 years ago? I know what happened in your head while I was talking. You agreed. Your chest went warm. You picked the move you would start with. Then a voice arrived to protect you from acting on any of it. I can hear it. I do not have time. I am wrecked after my shift. I have a family. Some men are just born with connections. Concede the true parts. You are tired. Real fatigue, not imaginary. And some men do start with a decade you will never be handed. Now watch the excuse die by arithmetic instead of encouragement. The average American adult burns over 4 hours a day on screens. You are not the exception. Not rest. Consumption. 28 hours a week. You already work a second full-time job, unpaid, building an empire for companies whose entire product is your attention. You are not out of time. You are out of allocation. Where did those hours go? Into another man's throne, every one of them. Your exhaustion is real, but be precise about its source. The job does not drain you because the work is heavy. It drains you because it is meaningless and you cannot leave. You could build a system at midnight and wake up sharp. You cannot survive a 2-hour meeting in that office. That is not fatigue. That is a body refusing captivity. Your explanations feel like relief. They are the language of men who intend to stay in the cage. Here is the slow bleed nobody in your life will name for you. Staying is not neutral. Each year you stay, you do not lose 1 year. You lose the compounded version of it. The system not built, the audience not gathered, the ownership not accumulated. At 45, the man who started at 30 is not 15 years ahead of you. He is a different species with different options, and he will not slow down so you can catch up. Machiavelli would look at you with cold eyes and say what nobody around you has the stomach to say. Your problem is not a shortage of resources. Your problem is that you are comfortable enough to postpone. That is the mediocrity loop. It is padded, it is warm, it is where most men quietly die. That is the real reason you are still broke. Not the economy, not your boss, not your start. You are paid exactly enough to keep delaying, and not $1 more. If that landed somewhere real, put it in the comments. I am done paying for my own cage. From here, there are 2 versions of you. One keeps trading hours for a wire transfer and calling it responsibility, until responsibility becomes the name of a life he never chose. The other starts building now, badly, exhausted, unimpressive. And in 3 years, he owns something no employer can revoke. Both men are listening to this. One of them will still be building in 30 days. Let me tell you what happens when you actually do this. The first payment from something you built does not feel like a paycheck. A paycheck is gratitude from a superior. This is proof. Proof that value can leave your hands and come back with money attached, without permission from anyone. Then something colder happens. Your fear of your boss dies. You still show up. But the salary leash goes slack, because a man with independent income stops negotiating from his knees. Then your hours come back to you. That is the real payoff. Not a watch, not a car, ownership of your own time until the day you die. Now the price, and I will not soften it. You will lose people, not in a dramatic scene, quietly. The friends who bond over complaining stop calling because you are no longer useful for that. Your empty chair at the bar gets read as arrogance. You will be told you have changed, and it will be said as an accusation. Say thank you and keep building. You will work long stretches with no evidence and no applause. Nobody will confirm that it is working. To everyone watching, you will look like a man wasting his nights on something that does not exist. That loneliness is your entry fee. Every silent millionaire paid it in full. There is no version where the herd walks beside you and the herd's outcome does not follow you home. Choose. You can keep the warmth of people who need you exactly where you are. Or you take the silence, the ownership, and freedom no employer can cancel. There is no third door. Any man selling you one is selling you sedation. Machiavelli wrote his most dangerous work after everything was stripped from him. Removed from office, interrogated under torture, exiled to a small farm outside the city he loved. He spent his days among peasants and his evenings with the writings of dead men. He owned nothing. Out of that nothing, he built knowledge that outlived every man who ruled him. That is the pattern. The cage is where the strategist gets forged. The only question is whether you use it as a workshop or a coffin. You will not get these mechanics from the people around you, not from your manager who needs you in that chair, not from your family who love you and want you safe, not from the content built to keep you entertained and still. The men who understand this stay few on purpose. The grey eminence never sits on the throne. He stands behind it, and he decides who does. Subscribe. Not as a favor to me. Subscribe because you just recognize the shape of the cage, and because a man planning an escape does not throw away the map. Most who heard this will do nothing. They will feel something sharp, watch it fade by morning, and be sitting in this exact life in 5 years, telling the same story about timing and luck. You are still here. You are not most. Now go build the first one.